6 p.m. in Dub, that is in the Gokitunja division of the Northwest region of Cameroon. Good evening, dear televiewers of Equinoxe Television. Thank you for joining me on today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. First, our major stories. Family members of late Sylvain Fufu are demanding that more light be shed on what really caused the death of their brother. After spending 2 days at the Nous Gendarmerie Brigade, the family members, upon visiting Sylvain at the brigade, were told he gave up the ghost at the hospital. Circumstances that led to his arrest will be explained in the course of this newscast. And many Cameroonians are questioning the quality of health services offered in several health facilities across the country. According to these Cameroonians, negligence on the part of some health workers, the non-respect of the ethics and deontology of the profession, and poor health systems accounts for these numerous deaths registered in hospitals today. A case in point is that of a 6-week-old baby that recently died at the Jordan Medical Center in the city of Yaoundé. You get details of the stories in the course of this newscast. Stay with us. We begin this newscast in Cameroon's political capital Yaoundé, where the death of a 7-week-old baby at the Jordan Medical Center in Yaoundé has exposed the weaknesses of the hospital and equally the poor health system of the country. Cameroon's health minister, during his visit at a hospital facility to examine the situation on the ground, complained of the fact that the health unit is not respecting the ethics of the profession. This is contained in a release made public by the Ministry of Public Health. We have more of this report with Mala Glory.
The death of a 7-week-old baby at the Jordan Medical Health Center in the Cameroon's capital city, Yaoundé, provoked reactions from Cameroonians and also the country's health minister. Dr. Manauda Malashi visited the health center after the incident to evaluate the situation on the ground. And thanks to the visit, he highlighted shortcomings of the health center in the care of the child, which could possibly contribute to the death of the baby. In a release from the Minister of Public Health, the minister says the unavailability of a pediatrician, the manipulation of the little baby by unqualified personnel, and a consultation via a phone call is very embarrassing for the state of this health structure. Manauda Malashi questioned why the baby could not be transferred to a higher hospital with substantial technical platform for a proper follow-up as the profession demands. The minister goes further to consult the administrative documents, which reveals that an authorization to exercise has been granted to this health facility for Category C, the equivalent of a health center. Yet, the Jordan Medical Center offers services such as a scanner, an operating room, which is irregular because it exceeded its regulatory capacities. The Minister of Public Health ended by ordering an investigation to be done in order to shed more light to this incident. This comes few days after a child was allegedly stolen at the Lakentini Hospital and a baby burnt at the Konsamba Regional Hospital in an incubator. This incident and more exposes the poor health system of the country. Authorities are therefore called upon to revisit the sector in order to secure the lives of Cameroonians.
And from the center region, we now move to the Lidra region, where a man by name Sylvain Fufu has lost his life in Lum division after suspecting his wife of having an affair with another man. Eyewitnesses say Sylvain, while attempting to slaughter his wife's supposed boyfriend with a cutlass, got arrested and was later detained at the Gendarmerie Brigade. He was later discovered dead in a hospital by family members. Our reporter, Asa Lucy Liengu, compiled the following report.
Panic tension hits the population of Lum division. A man by name Sylvain Fufu dies after suspecting his wife of infidelity. Sources say on Thursday, Sylvain got involved in a fight with his wife's boyfriend till the extent where he used a cutlass on him. Eyewitnesses also say Sylvain was taken to the Gendarmerie Brigade of Loum, where he confessed and was detained. My dad was at home. He spent his whole day in the house. He later went to my mom's store. After some minutes, he sent my kid sister to get a cutlass. She took the cutlass to him. After a while, we heard some people shouting, saying he has injured someone. Shocking situation for his family, who returned to the brigade on Saturday morning to have information about his situation. But to their greatest surprise, the brigade announced the death of Sylvain Fofu. When they carried him to the brigade, he told me to take his bag to the house. In the morning, I was surprised to hear that he passed away. The family members of Sylvain Fofu and the inhabitants of the locality are wishing to know the cause of his sudden death. They stormed the brigade of Loum, calling on authorities to explain how possible is it for someone to be locked up in a brigade but finds himself in the hospital dead. To calm the angry population, the divisional officer of Loum came to the scene. He reassures the population that investigations are opened and all pending questions will be answered. Efforts made by Equinoxe TV to have the doctor's version of the story was not fruitful. To the doctor, family members of Sylvain are yet to submit unnecessary medical booklets.
And we stay in the Mungo division as 4 persons suspected of consuming and trafficking marijuana have been apprehended by security forces in Banga, Mungo division of the Littoral region. They were arrested during a surprise visit of the divisional officer of Banga, K4 Christian, to Kombe, a village in his area of jurisdiction. We have more of this report compiled by Smart Chikan Gabriel.
The divisional officer of Mbanga, K4 Christian, accompanied by the forces of law and order, make a surprise stopover at some homes in Kombe village. The local administrator, who was acting on information from some insider within the village, was in search of some suspected consumers and traffickers of Indian hemps. Their search will lead to the arrest of some suspected consumers, with one trafficker on the run. The people of Kombe say since the arrival of K4 Christian, they have been in peace.
Since the Auto de France, the devil inside the Kombe.
Since the vigilante group became effective and security forces took their camp in Kombe, we don't have any serious problem. That is why we have a calm village. People wake up at any time to do their things without fear.
I said with the years, they don't tell Okada for Kombe for some place. Now, not enough for this town again, we're not getting no problem.
After the raid, the divisional officer, K4 Christian, met with bike riders to reassure them of government support. I want to assure all the commissioned bike riders that we should work together. The administration has the interest of all bike riders, but for us to have an understanding, we need to collaborate. We don't want you to be angry, because we are here to put order.
We don't come here and put order. The man we don't come he don't be sensitized today.
The bike riders appreciated the move of the local administrator. We are in Koto and we walk, moving up to Mbanga and back. But the group in Koto up is the one causing the disorder. When they bring this disorder, we don't walk normally. We respect the law, and I'm happy with the outing of this divisional officer.
Video check for that because you don't too much.
Kombe village, situated in the Mungo division, shares boundary with Moyoka in the southwest region. During this period that the northwest and southwest are in crisis, Kombe has also witnessed a beat. Before heading to Mbanga, those arrested for consuming Indian hemps were given a haircut as the divisional officer promised to return to Kombe village for a follow-up.
And now to something else. Work in collaboration with your subjects and the administration to put an end to the Monday ghost towns in Kumba in particular and Meme Division in general. Equally give birth to decentralization and development. These are the tasks assigned to Senator Mfon Ekoko Mukete IV, traditional ruler of the Bafo by Tundong Chamberlain, who received him at his office in Kumba recently. Innocent Azet tells us more about this meeting that took place in Kumba.
With the recurrent separatist operation in Kumba, Konye and Bonge in the Meme division of the southwest region, strangulating decentralization and development, the senior divisional officer, Tundong Chamberlain, reiterates enough is enough.
Enough is enough in that particular domain. It's time of development, time of reconstruction of our beloved Meme, Meme of peace, Meme of development, Meme of love.
That his prime objective remains to reinstate peace in Meme with the help of the population, who should collaborate with authorities and also support their traditional leaders like Mfon Ekoko Mukete IV, Paramount Chief of Bafo Kumba, recently appointed senator by the head of state.
We are having a new assignment, the one of bringing back peace within the entire Meme division in general and Kumba in particular. Bafo people, Kumba people, all those who are living in Kumba, let us support the fund in this assignment.
While congratulating him on his appointment, Tundong Chamberlain reminded him from Ekoko Mukete he has fully joined the administrative team determined to eradicate violence and ghost towns in the Meme division.
Let us work hard in order to stop forever this money goes down, and it can only be done if you are supporting him, you are supporting the administration, and you are supporting each other in that action.
The senior administrative officer is confident with more allies, the war will be won and many separatist fighters compelled to surrender.
I know that it is possible. I know that together we are going to succeed. I know that together we are going to bring back our children from the bushes, because many are there not because they were willing to go and lose their lives in the bushes, but because they have been misled by people abroad who are going to school with their children, who are enjoying abroad, and who continue to mislead our innocent children here in the Meme division. That one should stop.
From Ekoko Mukete IV, while on a tour in Kumba after his appointment as senator, promised to serve with his people at heart and to walk on the path of peace desired by Kumba Ellis and Meme as a whole.
And now we talk politics. The lapses and shortcomings of Nyat Jifenja's decree sending the Senate Secretary General on a long leave have been identified. Above the anger expressed by young Cameroonians who saw it as a manifestation of the policy of recycling all guards in a country dominated by a youthful population, the decree also failed to justify and define the duration of the long leave. We have details of the story compiled by Fomi Armstrong Sander.
In the leaked document going viral on social media, Senate President Nyat Jifenja decreed a long leave for the Secretary General of the Senate. In Article 2 of the decree, the Senate President said the Secretary General Meva Mebutu will continue to receive and enjoy all his benefits as Secretary General even while on leave. A decree that is generating a wide range of reactions and questions from Cameroonians on and off the social media. Questions like the legal standing of a long leave, what the duration of a long leave is, the circumstances and conditions that favors a long leave, and more. Questions we ask a legal mind, Barrister Anyan Lewis of the Anyan Lewis law firm in Buea.
Yes, the law recognizes long leave in Cameroon, but a civil servant, private worker is entitled to a long leave when, for instance, he is sick or he has some health issues and he needs longer period to be able to put himself okay medically. Like, let me just take the case of President Buhari in Nigeria. who has always been sick for a very long time. He went to UK for a very long time. That you can call it long leave.
Senate President Masenyat Njifenji, however, did not only fail to define the duration of a long leave, but also failed to tell Cameroonians if the Secretary General was sick as stipulated by the law.
Yes, of course. When a worker, an employee, government worker, civil servant or private worker is on leave, it doesn't mean that his employment contract has been terminated. You are just on leave. The establishment has given you permission to be benefiting from your salary, your allowances, and all the benefits, financial, material, whatsoever that are attached to your employment and your office. The rules that govern the Senate are specific rules. We have the standing orders, and we have the internal rules and regulations of the Senate that regulates the conditions of leave.
Cameroonians saw in the Nyat decree the manifestation and consequences of maintaining of recycling old and aging civil servants. They question why such should be happening in a country with thousands of capable but unemployed youth.
And away from politics, we now talk economy. One of the major problems of enterprises, especially small and medium-sized enterprises in Cameroon, is difficult access to financing. This has been the cry of entrepreneurs for decades. In view of finding a way out, we talked to some financial experts. Their views are compiled in the following report done by Babila Jonathan. Take a listen.
Accessing credit facilities is a major challenge, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises in emerging and developing economies. Cameroon's records in the obtaining credit indicator show extensive low-level performance. Financial experts attribute this to problems linked to collateral expected from those seeking credit facilities, poor mastery of procedures, and unorthodox conduct of some entrepreneurs.
When you don't have collaterals, it becomes very, very difficult to have a credit facility.
Some clients do not know how to compile the necessary documents needed to obtain a loan. After analyzing some files, we notice that there is a risk of mismanagement of the loan, because we realize that the loan is for something else, and that becomes a hindrance. The collateral, however, is not the major determinant in the quest for credit facilities from banks and other financial institutions.
The most important is the capacity to pay. If the customer does not have that capacity to pay, even the collateral you give, the customer will still go with the money without paying, because he knows the collateral he has put in is going to cover up for the loan.
Transparency and stability in business are facilitating factors that should be taken into consideration by all those seeking credit facilities, particularly business loans.
Do your regular transaction with the bank to permit the bank understand how your business is running.
Banking experts advise that anyone asking for a loan should have frank discussions with his or her banker.
And in the same vein, the types of loans accorded to clients by a bank vary. They range from consumer loans to school loans, among others. Besides, certain conditions must be respected for a bank to give out loans, be it to individuals, groups of individuals, or let's say institutions and even government. Anabila Leke has more.
A loan is a sum of money that one or more individuals or companies borrow from banks or other financial institutions so as to financially manage planned or unplanned events. In doing so, the borrower incurs a debt which he has to pay back with interest and within a given period of time. Bankers say the types of credits, however, vary.
If you go into the domain of agriculture, we have loan for agriculture. We have loans for constructions. We have school fee loans. You have loans for transportation. As you have loans for businesses, institutions that are operating the economy. You can take schools, you take hospitals, you take pharmacies, transport, tourism, hotels. We do finance them. And again, it will be good to know that these loans are classified as consumer loans. and investment loans. So in whichever domain, it will depend whether you are taking a consumption loan or a loan for investment or to expand your business.
In certain situations, the recipients and the lender must agree on the terms or conditions of the loan before any money can change hands. While in other cases, the lender requires the borrower to offer an asset up for collateral.
The first requirement is that you must have an account. You must have an activities to be financed. These are important things, and in the course of your applying for a loan, you have to state in your application the amount that you want, the durations, the collaterals, that is what you are putting in for, and then the sector of the business.
Loans or credit facilities can be given to individuals, corporations, and even governments. The interest and fees serve as sources of revenue for the lender or the bank.
And that's it for the first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with me on today's edition of Talking Point. On Talking Point, I will be receiving a bank manager. He's known as God Waters, and we'll be discussing on some of the challenges faced by small and medium-sized enterprises in gaining loans from, let's say, banks and other financial institutions. So I'll go straight away to our major topic, God Waters. What are the different types of credit facilities made available for Cameroonians by banks in Cameroon?
I will first of all say that if you look at the way the economy is structured, we have different activities in our life or in the economy. All of these different activities are liable to have credit facility, meaning that if you go into the domain of agriculture, we have loans for agriculture, we have loans for constructions, we have school fee loans, you have loans for transportation, as you have loans for businesses, institutions that are operating in the economy. You can take schools, you take hospitals, you take pharmacies, transport, tourism, hotels. We do finance them. And again, it will be good to know that these loans are classified as consumer loans and investment loans. So in whichever domain, it will depend whether you are taking a consumption loan or a loan for investment or to expand your business.
You just mentioned different types of loans. So is there a difference between a consumption loan, a business loan, and an investment loan?
Investment loan, you know, as the word says, investment is something you invest into something which you expect to generate income, generate profit from it, which will enable you to pay your loans. Whereas consumption loans are loans like acquisition of things like vehicles, house utensils, and you name the rest, that you buy them, you are the final consumer. They're not for the market.
Mr. Walters, are the requirements to obtain either an investment loan or a consumption loan the same?
When it comes to financing businesses, the first requirement is that you must have an account. You must have an activities to be financed. These are important things, and in the course of your applying for a loan, you have to state in your application the amount that you want, the durations, the collaterals, that is what you are putting in for, and then the sector of the business, because the banker will also be interested to know in what sector of activities you are carrying on your business.
So now, there is this permanent problem faced especially by small and medium-sized enterprises. The number one problem is difficult access to loans. Why is it that there is liquidity, as per the information we have from those working in financial institutions like you? Why is it that money is not given to those who ask for it?
Actually, nobody has carried out any statistics to say that these are the number of persons that are asking for loan and cannot have the facility. But what I want to state here is that, you know, in a financial institution, it's a very sensitive sector. Look at this picture. You find somebody who trusts you, come and keep his money in your bank. And the condition is that at any time T, he can come and withdraw his money. And then you find some other person who has an economic activity or a business and is coming for that money. It could be your friend, it could be a family member, it could be somebody that you don't even know. You don't know where he lives, you only know him by his business. That is the first challenge. The bank as an institution does not produce money. So what entails is that you have to take the money of X, let's say from X, and you give Y. You take the money from X and you give Y. Y that you don't know. And it is expected that when X will come for his money, you are supposed to give him all his money without any delay. That is the first concern. This gets us to a situation where the banker has to be careful. First, in banking, it is not only about money. Bankers have the duty to advise their customers on how to go about financing. That is very important, because some people, they think that when you get to the bank, it's all about lending, give me money. They don't even want to take financial advice. So this can be one of the problems that is disturbing for the bankers to finance all the businesses. Again, in banking, we have what we call the 5 C's. This we talk of, firstly, the capacity. That is the capacity to pay. Are you able to pay a facility given to you? Which means that the banker will have to evaluate what you are doing. In some cases, some people get themselves involved into businesses without doing the proper job, or without doing studies to know whether it's a good business and do they have the adequate potential to run that business. The one a banker, they have heard, maybe a friend, a colleague, this business is doing well, you just jump in. So when the banker steps in to finance that business, there are a number of things that he is going to check. First, as I said, your financial capacity to repay that facility, the conditions. About the condition, how is the business? Is it a business that is doing well? Is it going to grow? Is it going to generate money? And then we equally evaluate the capacity to repay the money. That is the collaterals. You have to look at the guarantee that the person is placing to take that money. As I explained to you, you are taking the money of X to give Y. So is the man having the capacity, the collateral that will back the facility after the person would have borrowed the money? Then the other one is the cash flow. Are we in control of your cash flow? Are you that kind of, because there are many types of businesses, that business or customer that you know that every day or every week, every month, they make it a duty to the bank, they do their regular saving. That interactions help the banker to know you better and to know how to finance your business or your business. So if this is missing, you will find lending difficult. So we do expect that for those that are interested in banking facility or that want to borrow money, the first thing we ask them to do is open your account, do your business study well, and be ready to do the business. And when you come for a facility, get the money and you apply it to whatever job you want to do. Because from experience, we have seen that people have borrowed money, say he want to engage in transport business. When the person borrows the money, the first thing, perhaps you go and pay his rent, you go and do other things which are not even related to the business. So that is a very great assignment that is given to the bankers. So they will have to analyze all of this in order to give you a credit facility. Perhaps that's why some people, they may not be patient for the time that the banker is going to take to do this analysis, or that some people, they think that because of some reason, or that my business is doing well, this person is doing well, I'll come and will give me a loan to do the same business. It's not the case. So each customer is studied differently, and that's what makes some people to have the loans and some they don't have them. But as to say how many of these people don't have loans or are asking for a loan and they don't have them is what we still need to have that figure to know that these are the number of people looking for money and they don't have them.
But Mr. Walters, don't you think the collateral seems to be a major hindrance for business persons? Imagine a young boy or young girl that just left the university, has brilliant ideas and to set up a business, but now due to the absence of this collateral, does it mean this should be a major setback in this person's life, even though this person has brilliant ideas that could bring a business from scratch to what we can say a magnificent something?
Yes, I would say it's true. When you don't have collaterals, it becomes very, very difficult to have a credit facility. But again, there are a number of things that we are able to do to facilitate. The first thing is to give the bankers enough time to study your business. You can't get into a business 3 months and you expect financing and you think that the banker will accompany you. The bankers don't know the details of what you are doing. And then the next thing is stability in business. If you look in the cases that you are saying, you also ask them, for how long have you been in business and you are unable to have financing? It will mean that there is a problem. And so it gives some bankers some guarantees, some assurances to ensure that the banker can comfortably finance you and you do your business well. And the other element is that which I said earlier, that you have to do your regular transaction with the bank to permit the bank understand how your business is running. And then when you are asking for a credit facility, you should be able to know your level. Some people, you are operating a business with a capital of 10 million, but you want a loan of 50 million. Does that work? It doesn't. So those are the criteria, some of those criteria that at times when a banker would, after the analysis, may say, no, you are not qualified for this loan. Okay, we're giving you some time to turn your account and we'll see how things can unfold for the bank to finance you. But I will very much advise that if you are asking for a loan, make sure you have a frank discussion with your banker. You should be able to express yourself as someone who is before your doctor to explain your illness so that the banker as your doctor will be able to diagnose what kind of facility and determine your credit limit and get you to understand what you need to do in order to repay back the money.
And is there a specific limit of granting loans put in place by the regulatory board?
Part of it. There is some regulation which came out in 2018 by the Monetary Authority (COBAC). They came out with some criteria that you can do lending in the financial sector. The first of them being that as if a microfinancial institution, especially a category 2 like us, you cannot give somebody more than 10% of your capital. So there is that capital limitation. If your capital is 50 million, it will mean that 10% of 50 million will be 10 million, right? 5 million, yeah, sorry, 10% of 5 million will be, 10% of 50 million will be 5 million. It will mean that you cannot borrow more than 5 million to an individual. Then in another context, we equally have what we call credit exposure. What this means is that if an institution or a group of persons come from one company, take for instance X transport company, all the engagement you can have with that company should not be more than 10% of your capital. Like us in CCO, which our capital is 4 million, we cannot borrow more than 400 million to an individual or to an institution. So those are some of the limitations that the monetary authorities, COBAC, have come to put in place. And equally for the stakeholder, stakeholder will refer to the staff of the financial institution, the board members, the shareholders. They too are limited by 50 million. They cannot borrow more than 50 million from their own financial institution. So those are some of the limitations that we have. But usually, some bankers, they will tell you that, okay, you can borrow 3 times the balance in your account. You can borrow 4 times, 5 times, 10 times the balance in your account, but without infringing on the capital limit as I've stated. You're welcome.
Got Walters, bank manager right here in the city of Douala. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we'll put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. Primetime Newscast. See you tomorrow at 6 p.m. God willing, so long.